Hey, welcome back to Foundations of Information Technology. I mentioned in the last lecture where we were talking about ethics and societal challenges due to the changing environment and issues related to information technology, that I was going to talk about computer crime. And the reason I'm going to do this is to try and give you some insight into this particular area of challenge to modern society and postmodern society as well. Computer crime is prevalent in many ways. There are all types of computer crime. There is, the issue of just defining what it is exactly. Is a computer crime always related to the use of a computer, or is it damaging a system in some way? Or do you have to have somewhere in the path of destruction, so to speak, do you have to use a machine to do that with? And of course, as you can see, it's probably multifaceted. It's not just that you use a computer to commit a crime. It's also the destructive nature of what you do on a system that you have intruded upon, or you have gained unauthorized entrance to. Also, not just a machine, but on a network or a device that is on that network. There are different types of computer crime. Many of them are related primarily to economic types of crime, white collar crime, if you will, where we're talking about hiding things and stealing things and using computer systems to uh, move, make transactions and move money around, or to lie about something. So there's fraud, there's money laundering, there is storage of inappropriate material like pornography of children. There's also um, things to do with corporations stealing secrets from another corporation and having them on their systems. So there's intrusion for the sake of intrusion, to hack into a system to get uh, secrets, or to maybe corrupt the system itself, to bring it down, to hurt the business in some way. And this is what happens with ping floods, for example. You have millions and millions of ping requests made to a server, a web server, for example, public server, and it brings the systems down, clogs them up, and the server cannot answer all of those ping requests. It tries to, but it can't do that, and it begins to degrade seriously the ability of the business to operate online. So Amazon.com would really be in a mess if they couldn't keep their systems up, their web servers, their networking, so that people could buy books and other things through Amazon.com's website. You can also have, website defacement. You can attack military systems. You can um, do all kinds of criminal related things with a computer too. You can have classified documents that don't belong on your system at all, and you put them there for storage purposes so that you can sneak it out of the building, so to speak. So there's lots of ways in which a computer can be used to commit crime with, and I'm sure you're aware of that. Some sophistication is often needed to be an effective hacker. A lot of times a hacker has to have some kind of programming background along with a good solid knowledge of networking. And hackers usually know better than the tools that he has at his disposal to do reconnaissance and to gain all of the information he needs up front to make his attempts at intrusion very effective. And he's able to get very, very deep into the systems so that he's actually inside the network and it's not really being noticed that he's inside the network. This takes a lot of sophistication and understanding and some practice, of course, where he has learned how to compromise systems. He needs to know how to use a port scanner, for example, so he can scan ports and find out what ports are listening and what services are running on those ports. And of course, IT administrators and security administrators are aware of this too, and so they try to, especially the security people that are responsible for the network and keeping it secure, they will want to keep abreast of things that are happening with intrusions, viruses, and rootkits that are the tools of great hacking, if you want to call it that. You're aware of these, the fact that they have to stay abreast of this and have the right machinery as well as the right software in place to help them do auditing and to check to see if there have been definite intrusions. Sometimes they find out after the fact. Sometimes it's a little too late. But this vulnerability has to be studied and have to look at it in order to be better prepared the next time or to prevent something from happening. As mentioned before, the weakest link is often inside the business. And this is where we have to pay attention to when we have disgruntled or angry employees, because they may know something or have something already that they can use against a company or people in the company as well. I want to give you some insight, of course, into how computer crimes are investigated too. And to start with, you have to think of this as a methodology. What kind of method are you going to use? How are you going to go about investigating a crime with a computer? And what questions are you, in particular, going to ask? What are the identifying traits, the data of this crime? You can call it traits if you want to. You're talking particular data. What are all the facts about this crime? And first off, you want to ask some definite questions, like what is the victim IP? In other words, what is the victim computer's IP address? It's that specific, getting an IP address. What agency is the machine and the intrusion against? What company has been intruded upon? What is the system point of contact to? Who's in charge there? Who do you work with who is going to know about this intrusion, know about this hacking that has taken place? Who are you going to work with? Who are you going to go see? You want to know if the computer involved, the victim IP, as I've called it, is it a mission critical system? How important is it to the operation of the business? Because you can't just walk off with a mission critical system, and this could really devastate a business. So there has to be some kind of replacement of that system that takes place in order to help them to continue operating and as if nothing had happened. Now, once you've done that, you've kind of got the facts about the immediate concern where the crime took place. Then you have to say, okay, well, where is this source? Where does this come from? Where does this originate from? So you want to get the source IP. You don't want to just have the victim IP. You want to have the source IP address of where the attack or the intrusion originated from. Now this can be several machines back. This can move across the globe a few times, around the country a few times, because some machines are leveraged and used as relay points, and they're not the actual source machine. And it might take a while to even discover what the source machine is. Now, this is known as the particulars of the case. The ticket information is what it's called. And again, you got a source IP address. You also have issues dealing with what jurisdiction is involved, because this machine is likely not to be local. This point of origin where the attack came from or the intrusion came from is going to be in another location or another geographic location, such that the jurisdiction is different, and who's the law enforcement authority there. So you're going to have to work with other entities, and you're going to have to know and respect their laws when it comes to getting evidence and making an arrest and so forth and so on. So this in itself becomes an issue with investigating a computer crime. Another thing that's important too is being able to know what files to look into and where to look in your system. Once you've obtained the victim computer and you have the right and ability, really the privilege to look into the machine, and you've got to know where to look. You've got to know what types of files to look into, what parts of the hard drive to inspect, and what kind of tools do you have to have in order to do this properly without tampering with the evidence. Now this gets into digital forensics. We won't talk a lot about that, but you have to have the ability to mirror a hard drive, and to mirror it in such a way that you have a forensic quality copy of that hard drive, and you haven't damaged or changed, in other words, modified any of the evidence in any way. A lot of times when you go into a computer crime situation, say you have the source computer now, and you found it, if the computer is on, you don't turn it off. If the computer is off, you don't turn it on. So it's how you handle that machine. And you may have to do your work, your initial work, right there with the machine where it's at before you can move it. So you certainly have to have the right warrants in place if that's what is necessary in the society in which you're working. You not only have to have a warrant to search, but you have to have a warrant to seize. And this is at local law enforcement levels. When you get into the federal agency levels, it's possible that they don't even have to have a warrant. And this is due to changes after 9/11, because they consider these things that occur with terrorist activities on the net and using computers as really criminal acts too, and they're against a sovereign power such as the United States. So there's a lot going on here. Much of this is like investigating a normal crime, if you can call them normal crimes. You certainly note the physical layout of the crime scene. You take lots of pictures, and you carefully examine and note everything that's in the crime scene. You look at, you document all of your activities, all the procedures, all of the information gathered, numbered, all of the personnel who come and go, and anything pertinent to what they are doing or what they will do in the setting has to be noted. So it all has to be documented in proper order. You certainly have to map out what, or construct, if you will, what exactly happened. What kind of decisions did the intruder make? Why did they go this way instead of that way? What was the purpose of them doing this? What was the purpose of them coming, say, into the network through this port rather than through another port? And why did they leave so many traces, maybe? Or why is it that we note that these files have been changed, but these files over here have been left alone? So almost anything is pertinent to solving the crime. Any question is important that you ask. Any answer that you may find, although they may be tentative, you need to note them all. And finally, as I mentioned about computer investigation and looking at the crime scene, you do a system autopsy eventually. And this is the forensic side of it again, where you're going to do either an abbreviated form of an autopsy, because you have only so much time in which to commit and to do the forensic copy and analysis of the evidence, or you do a comprehensive autopsy of the systems involved in the crime. So there you go. That's a kind of a quick introduction to computer crime that impinges on so many things that we have in our society today, as well as our businesses and corporations and government and military, all because of information technology and its power to be leveraged and to compromise easily, sometimes very easily, what is important, what needs to remain secret. So thank you very much for listening, and talk to you again soon.